sometimes you just have to be willing to take the chance. And I think that's probably when you think of mindsets, when you think of changing the way that you think, it is, it's a very powerful thing, right? So often in life we get stuck, or we get comfortable, and 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 the two aren't necessarily the same thing, but they certainly can intertwine with each other. And oftentimes when you do get in that, I guess, quote unquote rut, if you will, and you do get stuck or you do get complacent, you're willing to accept less than what your potential is. And so when you start to tap into what you do well, and you start to tap into the things that you excel at, and then you apply those in other ways, you'll find you'll find great success
Yeah.
in ways that you never thought were possible.
Oh,
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
okay. Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with Roger Gauvreau, who's a realtor in the San Antonio market, also does sales at McCaw Custom Homes. So we're going to get into a lot of mindset stuff. We're going to get into the market. Excited to have you here, Roger.
Well, thanks, Kristen. I'm glad you could have me on today. I'm excited to be here.
So you have a very interesting entrance into the real estate industry. So I would love for you to talk about that.
I do. It's kind of funny. So, at 17 years old, I got into the restaurant business. Why? Because a friend said, "Hey, come work with me at a restaurant," right? So I did. And little did I know that was going to turn into pretty much a lifelong deal. And I stayed in the bar and restaurant business up until the pandemic. But the last 20 years of that, I was a DJ in a nightclub, which was pretty cool. And I used to tour around and do all that stuff. But one day, a friend of mine says to me, he goes, "Hey, Raj," he goes, "you are wasting yourself here." And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he goes, "You're wasting your talent." He goes, "You should come work for me." And he was a broker, and so, but I wasn't particularly interested in real estate or a life change at that time. And it's funny. I when you think about advice and you think about the smartest people that you ever come in contact with, right? They tend to give you advice, but you don't always have the ability to receive advice. And so sometimes it takes a little longer for things to sink in. And so when the pandemic hit and the entire world, it seemed, or at least the entire restaurant world and bar world was out of a job, I started to think, well, gosh, what am I going to do? And I delivered groceries, which was cool because I needed to do something to get by at that time. But I got my real estate license as well. And his words kind of echoed and got back in my head again. And it's so funny because I remember, you take your classes and everybody says, everybody's going to fail. You're going to fail. Everybody fails their tests. And I passed it on the first try. So
Oh,
at that point I thought, well, you know what, maybe this is for me.
yeah.
And that was, well, actually I'm celebrating my 3-year anniversary in real estate this month. And I haven't looked back. So yeah, I love it.
That's amazing. I mean, that's such a scary time when the industry kind of, or the nightclub industry just kind of shut down and you're left being like, what is my next step?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
It is because, especially for me, right? So, I take care of my 9-year-old grandson and my 76-year-old mom on top of it, right? So, with everybody dependent on me, there wasn't time for me to sit around and try and wait for things to clear up or wait for the pandemic to end or any of that stuff. I had to be proactive and or actually just active, I suppose, and reactive, right? So, the incredible thing about life is that, people are so resilient. And if you give people an opportunity to show that, they will surprise you more often than not. And so that was kind of really what the case was. And to jump into a whole new career, especially at an older age and take the chances, was real exciting for me.
That is super exciting. And what drew you into real estate?
Well, it's funny. So for a while, I wrote an interior design blog and did some interior design work. That was, in between doing, the club work and stuff. And I enjoyed that. Mostly I did some doctor's offices and things of that nature. I never really got to do any homes, but as such, I've always been interested in design and those things. And so when when the real estate bug was put in my head by my friend Greg, I think I always mulled it over, but it just didn't really come to fruition until all of a sudden I was almost really forced to make a change or forced to make a decision, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of joke, it's a friend of mine. Unfortunately, he's passed away from cancer, but at the time he was still battling through, and we were out having lunch, and he had had his larynx taken out. So he couldn't speak, but he could type on his phone or whatever. And we were out having lunch, and I started laughing, and he said, he looks at me and he kind of this puzzled look, and I said, "Do you understand how stubborn you and I are?" And he kind of goes like that, and I said, "Do you realize that it took a pandemic and cancer to get you and I out of a bar?" But I joked with him about it, but it's and I do joke about that time in that regard. We all lost somebody we knew, or somebody close to us, or we know somebody who lost somebody. And so I don't mean to make light of it, but the reality of it for me personally, even though I did lose a few friends, the reality of it for me, when I look at professionally, is that it gave me the wherewithal to make the changes I needed to make, and switch a lot of the mindsets that I needed to switch.
Of course.
Um,
Yeah, I think
so
it's such a, that's a product of just a really resilient person where when you're at a low point to just truck through it and to actually make changes and to actually switch your path, it takes a lot to be able to do that.
it does, but I think that everybody has that within them,
Right.
right? Sometimes you just have to be willing to take the chance. And I think that's the probably when you think of mindsets, when you think of changing the way that you think, it's a very powerful thing, right? So often in life we get stuck, or we get comfortable, and 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 the two aren't necessarily the same thing, but they certainly can intertwine with each other. And oftentimes when you do get in that, I guess, quote unquote rut, if you will, and you do get stuck or you do get complacent, you're willing to accept less than what your potential is.
Mhm.
And so when you start to tap into what you do well, and you start to tap into the things that you excel at, and then you apply those in other ways, you'll find you'll find great success
Yeah.
in ways that you never thought were possible.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I love that. That's such a great mindset, you know, outlook to have. And then I imagine being a realtor, you get to help so many people. That must be super
I
gratifying.
do.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. I'll tell you something. I'm literally have at times been brought to tears on
Uh-huh.
closing day.
Yeah.
And it's starting now because I'm thinking of this one family in particular. But um, when you get a chance to really help somebody achieve what, there was a survey, I think it was Harvard University back in the 90s or so, had done a survey about what do you, of just, people, but what do you consider the American dream? And the overwhelming answer, I think it was like 87% or so, the overwhelming answer was to own a home. That the American dream to people is being a homeowner. And so especially when you have a first time buyer and the excitement within them and how difficult it can be too, right? It's so hard sometimes to buy that first home and to qualify and jump through all the hoops and do all the things that the lenders need and all the things that the title companies need and everything, and everybody pokes and prods and grabs and all that kind of stuff at you, right? And to be the person that can kind of help you get through that and help you to kind of be shielded from a lot of that, and just kind of keep you in that right spot and keep you happy and keep you excited, and then we get to closing day and you get those keys and it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a great part of the job. And you get to, kind of tap into your design love and you get to tap into your love of helping people. It's just such a great industry for all of that.
And I do that too, right? So since I do work for a custom home builder, I do also think in that
Yeah.
mentality of, what would I change? What would I do? What adjustments, what renovations, what would I do to a house?
Right.
So I do tend to give those types of opinions to people when we're out looking at resale homes, of what the potential, maybe a space could be for them. So I think that added bonus has been a little bit kind of I guess a helpful avenue for me when it comes to helping people visualize different things. So
Absolutely. You have kind of both ends of the spectrum there where you can really be a well-rounded, helpful person to somebody. And then when you were starting in the real estate or industry, like how did you build up your client base in the beginning?
it so I started taking classes first of all, right? My friend who I mentioned that had gotten the real estate bug in my head, the day that I passed that exam, he was the second person I called. The first one was my mom to tell her I passed, but he was the second person I called because I thought that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, and I wanted him to know. And so he called. He said, "Okay, what you doing right now?" And I said, "I just walked out of the testing center." And he goes, okay, cool. He goes, meet me at Republic Title. He goes, we're going somewhere. And I said, okay. And he takes me out, and he does a lot of flips and things of that nature. Now he's not so much a realtor anymore. But he said, he goes, I got this class, I think you should take, and as a graduation gift, if I pay for it, would you go? And I said, of course I would. And so it was a class that dealt with how you work by referral, systems that you can put in place to help you build that referral client base. And I learned so much in that class, it made me want to take the second and the third editions of it as well.
Yeah.
So when you ask, like, what do you do or what did I do when I first started out? I guess the first thing I did was start to educate myself on how, right? When you take real estate classes, they teach you enough to stay out of jail. And they teach you enough to hopefully keep you from making mistakes that could get you into trouble, right? But they don't teach you how to show a home.
Yeah.
They don't teach you how to navigate rough waters. They don't teach you how to just kind of do the basic everyday kind of things, right? And so when it came to that and developing systems, I found that continuing education was important. A funny story about that is so.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
One of my continuing education classes was a marketing class. And most real estate agents I found, they wait till the last minute to do their CE classes, right? It's they look at the calendar, realize they've got 3 weeks till their license has to renew, and then they got to sign up for classes and get them done. And I had signed up for my CE classes pretty much right away because I thought, well, what's a marketing class going to do for me in 2 years when I really need it right now? And so I started taking those classes right away. And I remember one of my instructors, she was my instructor for promulgated forms, and here she was my instructor for this marketing class. And she goes through this exercise. I'm sure she does it with all of her classes, where she says, how many have, been 5 years or longer, raise your hand, and on down the chain until you get to, who's been an agent for less than a year. And I'm the only one in the class with my hand up. And she goes, oh, wow, how long have you been an agent? And I said, 3 months. And she goes, you're already taking this class? I said, yeah. And she goes, why, what made you decide to take this class? I said, well, you told me to. And she looked at me and I said, well, you were my teacher for promulgated forms and you told everybody to get them out of the way as soon as possible, that it's more beneficial. And she looks at me and she goes, you listened to me? And I said, yeah, of course I did. And so she goes, oh my gosh, I'm so happy about that. Well, anyway, the moral of the story is the more you can educate yourself as a
Right.
new agent, the better off you're going to be, the more information you can get. I would certainly tell people to touch into the sphere you have. I think the big misconception, though, is that everybody thinks that they're going to get their real estate license and all their friends and family are going to buy a house for them.
Right.
And the reality of that is that they're not. But guess what? They might know somebody at work who might,
Mhm.
and they might know a friend from church who might, and
Right.
they might know a friend from their kid's school who might. And so if you get to where you start to talk to your friends and your family, not so much about, hey, here's my sales pitch to you, but hey, just in case you don't remember, I got a real estate license and I'd be happy to help any friends that you might
Right.
have. And so, I would say about 90%, other than the leads that I get from the from McCaw Custom Homes, other than the leads I get from the builder, uh, all of my regular real estate clients have all been referral. Um, and I love that. If you can get to where you're working mostly from referral, then you're never going to have to search for a client. So I would tell people that the thing you want to tap into is develop that sphere, develop the people, but develop their mindset.
Mhm.
Right. So be the person that they think of or be the person that they think of when they think real estate. Right. So when
Absolutely.
they do have that conversation at work, or they do have that conversation at church, or they do have that conversation at their kid's school,
Mhm.
right, that all of a sudden they go, hey, you know who you need to call, and they call you. And so I would say for new agents, it's really important to develop those relationships, and be valuable to people.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with popping by somebody's house with a coffee cake that you baked and a cool pan that they can keep as a keepsake. Because guess what? Every single time they use that pan, they're going to think of you.
Yeah.
Or maybe a pie during the holiday season, you drop by with a fresh baked pie in a pie pan that they're going to keep, that's got a holiday theme on it or something, right? Well, guess what? Every time they reach into the cupboard, they're going to see that pie pan. They're going to think of you. And so you can do different things that will leave lasting impressions on people that so many new agents don't consider and they don't think of. And
Mhm.
so I would say to new agents, think outside the box. Think of what you can do that personalizes your business, that makes you memorable. Think of things that you can do that will make you leave that lasting impression on people so that you are the person that they think of when other people have that conversation around them. And sure enough, the more and more they start talking to other people about you, and if you do a great job and you tell people every single time that you're going to want to refer me to all of your friends and family because I'm going to work so hard for you that you're going to love it, and you come through on that, well, guess what? They're going to keep referring you. Their friends are going to refer you. And before you know it, they might even use you too.
That's amazing. And really like adding that human touch to it and the personal touch to it.
It's so important, right? I mean, it's like a handwritten card. You go to your mailbox and you go through and you're like, Bill, 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 junk mail, Bill, junk mail,
Mhm.
whatever. And you just kind of, then it goes on the counter until you're ready to deal with the pile, right? But as you're flipping through it, all of a sudden you see something that's, addressed to you, handwritten. It's got a return address handwritten, and you recognize the name that's on it. Well, you're
Mhm.
going to stop and open that up, right? And
Yeah.
if it's just a thank you card that just says, whether it's a past client, hey, thank you for trusting me. I hope you're having a great time. I hope you enjoy your new home, yada, yada, whatever. That's great. If it's to a friend or something of that nature, that's fine. Hey, love being your friend, whatever. But when you can do those things and you can leave those types of lasting impressions on people, then you're going to build a referral business that you are not going to be able to stop.
Right. I love that. That's such good advice. And what did that first like home look like your first sale or your first client? What did that feel like?
It was amazing. I'll tell you, it it's so funny because you never know where your first, your second, your next, or maybe even your last client's ever going to
Yeah.
come from, right? We all, again, right? We all think that, hey, I'm going to just put on Facebook and I'm a
Yeah.
realtor, and all of a sudden, hey, everybody's going to call me,
Yeah.
and you never really know. Well, you know, as I said during when the pandemic started, I was delivering groceries, um, and at that time, right, it was contactless. There was a door in between. You didn't talk to people. You didn't, it was all via text. And, sometimes if people had a door with a window on it, they might stand on the other side and wave and say thank you or whatever, and it was amazing because you knew you were making a difference in people's lives, right? People were afraid to open that door. They were afraid to leave their homes, and you were bringing them the things that they needed to survive. So it was a really amazing experience, in all honesty, when you talk about service to people. And um, I'm going to break off for just a second because there's a story about that I think is really important. And there was this one family, it was very early on in the process, and the husband had messaged me, through our thing when it was time for me to, check out and come to his house. And he said, when you get here, I'll open up the garage door. I've got a couple white tables. He said, just put all the bags on the tables. I said, sure, no problem. And so when I got there, I texted him, let him know I was there. And he opened up the garage doors. And sure enough, there were these two long white tables. And, I started emptying everything out and putting all the stuff on the tables. And he's got this cleaning station. I mean, there's like wipes and Lysol, you name it, gloves, everything, right? So he's got this whole cleaning station, and individually, one by one, he's taking every item out of each bag, and he's one by one sanitizing each item and then putting it on the table behind him. And I think that for a lot of people, that might feel excessive, maybe, especially looking back at how we all didn't know how we were going to react to the situations that were presented to us. But he went on to say, he says, he goes, my wife's got a very delicate immune system. And if she was to get this, the doctor said that she wouldn't survive. He goes, so I have to do everything I can to protect her. And it was at that moment that I really did realize that I was making a difference and making a difference in people's lives, making a difference in their survival. And so it was a very gratifying experience. But it's one of those things that, that mindset follows me in real estate as well, right? Is that when you're helping somebody buy a home, you're making a difference in their lives,
Right.
and you're helping them, with so many things. And so, I'm sorry about the going off track there, but it was an incredible experience. But going back to that, so my first client, right? She was one of my shipped people.
Mhm.
And as I had told most people, yeah, I'm in real estate school and this, whatever. Well, once I got my license, all of a sudden, one day I'm delivering to her. And at this point, things had lightened up. And I was oftentimes in her kitchen, talking and probably standing there for a half hour while she's unloading groceries into her fridge, just shooting the breeze. And, and so she goes, well, hey, she goes, I want to sell this house and buy a bigger property. She goes, so when can we get together and talk? And I was like, uh, now? It's like, we can talk whenever you want, right? And so she ended up being my first client. And um, I remember asking her, why she chose me, knowing that I was brand new, right? And she said, well, she goes, you've always been so kind. She said, you've always been detail oriented when it comes to this stuff. She goes, and I just really like you. She goes, and everybody deserves a shot to get their things going in life. And I thought, wow, that's pretty awesome, and so yeah, so she was my first. I helped her sell a home. She had a home that she sold. We sold that for about 5.500, whatever. And we bought her 7-acre ranch property out in the boonies that she absolutely
Amazing.
loves. It's got this incredible view, and she's got her 6 dogs that run all over that property. And so yeah, so that was how I got my first client, was again, right, personal relationships.
Right.
And 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 you just don't know where they're going to come from. And I've got somebody I'm working with right now that they were a referral from a referral.
Mhm.
It was a friend of mine referred me to somebody who needed to sell a property a year ago, and now I'm working with her brother on some others. And so I think those personal relationships are the cornerstone of success in this business. Yes, you can cold call, and yes, you can sit by the phones, and yes, you can answer emails, and you can follow leads, and you can do all those things that are tried and true, and you can door knock, you can do all that, right? But I think that in this day and age, the biggest road to success is doing quality work, standing by it, and having people send you referral business.
Right. Well, I love that. I think this has been so valuable for people starting out in the industry and how to build their businesses. Where can people find you?
Well, so they can find me at Facebook if they want, Roger Gauvreau, Realtor, or my personal page is out there. They're both public. They can find me on Instagram at Roger Gauvreau as well, or on TikTok at Roger Gauvreau Realtor.
Amazing.
I got some fun stuff on there. And you can also find me from the McCaw Custom Homes website as well. So if anybody's looking to build a custom home, I'm all in on that too.
It's your
So it's a lot of
guy.
fun.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, I love it.
So,
Thank you so much for being here today. I think that you gave such great insight on what it takes to get started. And I think people learned a lot. So thank you so much for being here.
well, thank you so much for having me, Kristen. I hope you have a wonderful day. And
You
to
too.
everybody out there, I hope you guys have a wonderful day too.
Yes, thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you back next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.